Hello folks, this is Wager Detective coming to you from Atlantic City, the Tropicana Sportsbook here on January 4th, 2025. We're going to get into this NFL action today, start capping these games. A lot of these games don't have meaning, but there's meaning behind the meaning in some of these games, and we're gonna try to unravel it here, Wager Detective style. We're going to talk about this Packers game. The Packers are plus 10.5 today. They're down to their third string quarterback. Willis will not play. Clayton Tune will be in there, former Houston quarterback, was really a stud at Houston, the Houston Cougars, and he's going into Minnesota today as a plus 10.5. The over-under sitting at 36.5, and let's break this down. If we look here, the Packers are 4-5 in their last 9 versus the Vikings. Between their plus-minus over those 9 games, they are plus 6.11 points per game over those 9 games. And the average total sits at 46.4. Last 5 meetings between Packers and Vikings, the Packers are 2-3. Between their plus and minus over those 5 games, they're plus 4.6 and 43.6 points per game. Last 5 for the Packers at Minnesota. Packers are 2-3. Their plus minus over those 5 games divided by 5, they're plus 2.2 points per game, and the average score is 53.4 points per game. 4 of those games, last 5 Packers games at Minnesota, have gone over and 1 has gone under. Last 5 December meetings between these two teams, the Packers are 3-2, plus minus plus 6.2 points per game average, and the average score sits at 41.4. If we look at O'Connell, coach of the Vikings, since he's taken over Minnesota, he is 8-2 in December games, in home December games. They're 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 home December games, winning by 13, 31, 18, and 21. 2 of those games have been divisional games in those last, in the last 5 meetings. 2 of those 5 have been covers. 1 has gone over, was a 42-point game, and the other one's gone under 33. And the Vikings are 2-0 at home this year in December. Plus 34 points between both those games, and 31 points and 33 points scored in both those games. I think there's a market overreaction here to this total. It's kind of getting away from me. 36.5 is kind of low, and I think if it does go under, it's got to favor the underdog. It's just math. I mean, when you have a low total here with a team getting 10.5 double digits plus the hook, it does favor the home team. If it goes over, and then, you know, if you look at the games that have gone over, it could get interesting here. So let's go into what Green Bay has done this year. Having a pretty good year, 9-6-1. They've dealt with a lot of injuries this year for Green Bay. They're 10th in yards, and their defense is 11th in giving up yards this year. Where else do they stand out? They're top 15 in first downs with 322. They move the chains. They're middle of the pack in giving up first downs on defense. They do have 26 passing touchdowns, which puts them 8th best in the NFL. I would expect that even though this game doesn't mean anything, guys that are getting a chance to audition, they're going to be showing up today. And it's a divisional matchup for these teams. So even though you're not playing for anything, you got to think that you want to go into the playoffs with some kind of momentum, even with your third string quarterback. If we look at rushing touchdowns, I don't know if Jacobs is going to play today. They do have 18 rushing touchdowns today on the year for Green Bay, puts them 8th in the NFL, and they've only given up 14 rushing touchdowns, puts them at 12th. If we look at their Green Bay's average time, plays, yards, and points per drive, they're top 10 in all those categories, scoring 2.49 points per drive, puts them 8th best in the NFL. Let's take a look at what Green Bay's doing. And if you see here at the bottom, they've lost 3 in a row. I do not know if you want to go into the playoffs next week and be on a losing streak, or even if you lose, you're not going to want to get blown out. This game, you can say what you want, but guys are auditioning. Guys are going to still play, come out and show what they got, and I think they can do that. I mean, listen, they put up 24 last week. Willis played most of that game, and then Clayton Tune came in at the end there after Willis tried to throw a ball, and then his shoulder got hurt from a hit he took in the week prior, and it was re-aggravated. If we look at Green Bay, I'm going to take a look at their game logs here. I'll try to keep this short and sweet for my viewers out there. Okay, so if we look, we start at the top and look how many games have gone over the total that's set today. 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 6-2, 6-3, 7-3, 7-4, 8-4, 9-4, 10-4, 11-4, 12 over and 4 under on the year for the Green Bay. Okay? And if you look at what they've done this year, they have 13 turnovers, so they're pretty good there. They don't turn the ball over that much. 7 interceptions. It's pretty solid. They protect the ball, and they've had 5 in the last 3 weeks, but they've gone a number of games without turning the ball over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 games they've gone without turning the ball over, but in the last 4 weeks they've turned the ball over multiple times in a couple of those games, and then one apiece in the other ones. If we look at what they do well, what their opponents do well, their opponents have forced 13 turnovers against them, pretty much in the mirror image of what Green Bay's done offensively, 7-6. So they don't turn the ball over a lot, and they don't necessarily get a lot of turnovers. And when you have games like that, the turnovers or the lack thereof can lead to what I believe can be an over in this game. 36.5 is not a lot, but if you're looking at the game going under, the books are probably saying 23-13, which puts it right at 36. So you win by a hook and it goes under. That is a possibility there with that game. Let's take a look at what. So again, if we look at Green Bay, they haven't had the toughest of schedules. They do have a good defensive coordinator. I like Jeff Hafley. He was the former Boston College head coach. Pretty solid. And they're 13th in the NFL in SRS. So I got to imagine that this team's going to come out. It's not like Minnesota's like this great defensive team. And I know it's a third-string quarterback, and I know people are probably going to think that, third-string quarterback, what can they do? But, listen, defense can get a turnover, flip the field. Let's take a look at Minnesota, see what they've done. They've had a subpar year for Kevin O'Connell, 8-8 on the year, a little bit better SOS than Green Bay, and they're 18th in the NFL in SRS. Okay, Brian Flores over there, he could dial it up. When you have a defensive coordinator like that, then it comes back to saying, listen, he's going to know what to do with these rookie quarterbacks. I would love to know Brian Flores' record against a rookie quarterback and what he's done against them. And maybe I'll find that out and drop that in the comment section after the game. But you look at Minnesota, 29th in yards overall in the season, and they're 6th in defensively in giving up yards. Passing, they do have 18 touchdown passes, puts them at 26th best in the NFL, but look at that, only giving up 15 passing touchdowns. So you look at it that way, maybe the books are saying something. Second best in the NFL in giving up passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. And that's going against a pretty good division with guys that can score. You got Detroit, you've had to go against twice, you've gone against the Bears twice, and you had to go against a pretty good, talented Green Bay team. So 6 teams, 6 games there against teams that got good quarterbacks and can move the ball with good coaches, and you've only given up 15 passing touchdowns, second best in the NFL there. If we look at rushing touchdowns, they do have 14 on offense, 19th best in the NFL. And look, they don't give up rushing touchdowns either. So as the cap goes along, I'm starting to come back to that under. I'm starting to be entertained by that. If we look at Minnesota and their drives, this leads to the under 2. Look at this. Time of drive, plays of drive, yards per drive, and points per drive, all 25th or lower in the NFL. They're only scoring 1.83 points per drive. Now, Green Bay does, you can have all these guys backing up, backups, but I would think that Green Bay would come out, and defensively, those guys are definitely going to want to come out and audition for next year. I know that they're missing a couple players there on defense. Their star, Michael Parsons, still out. But league-ranked defense, they only give up 1.6 points per drive. So maybe, just maybe, that under has value the more and more that I'm looking at it. If we look at Minnesota, they've reeled off 4 straight. Not against the best competition, but that Detroit Lions game, you did win 23-10. Pretty solid. You beat the Cowboys. They got a good offense. Commanders, you shut them out. If you're looking at them and you're saying, well, what can they do? They've shown you in the last couple weeks. Let's take a look at their game schedules here, see what they've done. But look at that. 29 turnovers on the year for Minnesota. They have 16 more turnovers than Green Bay does for the entire year. I mean, that is, and 21 of them have come by way of interception. So you got to factor that into the cap. That's leading me back to the original thought of, listen, Green Bay could cover the spread plus 10.5. If you look at their game logs, they've only gone 2 games this year where they haven't turned the ball over, or no, 3 games out of all their games this year where they haven't turned the ball over. But in their last 4 games, they've gone 2 games without turning the ball over. Look at this game. 5 turnovers there against Seattle, and you were held scoreless. So you want to factor that into your cap. Let's take a look at their they have forced 21 turnovers for their opponents. So they are pretty solid there. A lot of them are fumble losses that they're getting. So they're still -8 on the year compared to what their opponents do as far as turnover. So that's something to definitely think about going into this game. Like I said, if you look at this, they did lose to Green Bay earlier in the year, 6-23. I'm sure they're going to want to avenge that. That game only went to 29 points in that game. I would expect to see some kind of turnovers here, and I don't necessarily know if it's going to be Green Bay that does it. So at 9:19 in the morning here at Tropicana on January 4th, Wager Detective is going to make the call here and say Green Bay plus the 10.5. I do believe that, Minnesota, solid team. Last 4 games home in the month of December, they've covered this spread in their last 4. And 2 have gone over and 2 have gone under in those games. And they are 8-10 in their last home December games. But Green Bay keeps it tight with them, They've only not covered this spread last 9 meetings 2 times. Or 2 times there. I'm going to call Green Bay. Green Bay is going to be Wager Detective's call here, plus the 10.5. I think the line's gotten away. I think the market is overreacting to the fact that Clayton Tune, the third-string quarterback, is going to be in there. So that's going to be Wager Detective's call here. Green Bay plus 10.5. It could be an under. It could very well be an under. Maybe they're trying to bait over bettors here with the total being so low, but I'm going to call that Green Bay plus 10.5 for Wager Detective here, January 4th, 2025. I'll talk to you soon.